Tonight, we're joined by John Pantherbone, who is not only a cohort 4 member, he's our first Indigenous student that made it through the program. He actually wrote a great article on our site, and he's helping us move in the direction of creating better pathways or bringing in hopefully future students. But for me, on the industry side, John, not only being an alumni member, is working with a very important organization, the First Nations Health Authority, and we partnered with them in the past on doing a very important project. John's been with them for many years. He's got a great background himself, coming from the University of Lethbridge. He's working with them. I think it's been about 9 years now with the First Nations Health Authority since graduating, which is pretty cool. And he's recently learned to ride a motorbike. So stay safe, John. But importantly, I'm not going to take too much away from you, John. But so I'll pass the mic over with a note of thanks to say we had a conversation leading up to you joining us about why we do land acknowledgements and where the CDM is located. So I'm not going to recap in that. But I know you're from Lethbridge and from the Blackfoot tribe. So I don't know what the specific land acknowledgement for where you originated from before coming and joining us out of the, but maybe you can tell us a bit about that, because we were learning here. So, John.
Yeah, for sure. I'm Blackfoot and from the Blood tribe in southern Alberta. So it's just a few hours south of Calgary. And I grew up there all my life, and then I moved here in 2010 for graduate school. So just thanks for the invitation and just being willing to hear from an alumni. And I just want to share that these industry and alumni talks that you attend, they're really very important. And it's really great that Dennis puts these together, and they're really beneficial for the students as well. Like, it may kind of seem like you're wondering, well, why don't we have like project time, or like, can't we use this time for work? But it's really important, because there's very few opportunities to kind of directly connect with industry. So thanks so much to Dennis for putting these on, and they're really beneficial. When I went through the program, I still remember a lot of the talks that you booked, like during my run through the program.
Thanks for that promotion. That was unprompted as well, so I applaud you for that, and thanks.
Yeah, well, I just remember what it was like being a student in those industry talks, so I just want to share it with some of the students here. But like Dennis said, I'm a C4 graduate. I started in 2010, and it's really cool just being able to be 10 years on in my career, and then just being able to come back and share a bit of insights and experience that I kind of gained. And it'd be really beneficial for you to hear it as a student coming through the program, because you may be wondering a lot of things, like what it's going to be like through the program, what's going to happen after, and just a lot of things like that. So I just I guess I'll share a little bit about kind of my background and history, and then I'll kind of go into just like a little bit of my career right now, and I'll share a little bit of one of the projects that we did with the CDM as an industry partner at the FNHA. I'll share a little bit about that later on, and then just also some info, like things that I wish that I had heard when I was in the program. So like you said, I'm one of the first Indigenous graduates, but there are a few more now, and the program is now becoming more and more diverse and gender equal as well. Like it's a pretty good mix nowadays. And like when I was starting, the alumni that we spoke with, they were only like a few years early into their career. So you're just kind of hearing some early insights. So now you could hear from someone that has 10 years experience on. So kind of in my undergrad experience was I kind of started in new media back in when websites all had Flash intros, and that's kind of what got me into exploring this area. I was really interested in like any kind of video production, animation, those kind of things, and I just wanted to learn more about that. So I took a new media program at the University of Lethbridge, and it gave me a whole bunch of like strong technical skills. So I learned about like 3D animation, visual effects, and like Flash was still pretty big back then, and like video production. So I had all these like strong technical skills, but I kind of felt like a jack of all trades, but like a master of none. So like I didn't feel like I was like well suited enough to kind of do these larger digital media projects that I want to be involved with. I felt like I would just be like a very entry level person to work at a company. Like I didn't feel like I had enough skills to go out in the digital media industry. So I started looking for a lot of different graduate programs, but I couldn't really find any. Like just searching what was all available across Canada, there was hardly anything that like stood out. It was all like it was all thesis based, and like it was all, you had to write a research paper at the end of 2 years, and when you were done you just submitted a paper and then you got your graduate degree and then you left. And there was like hardly any industry focus, and like there wasn't, like you didn't really know how to be like a producer, or you didn't know how to start up your own company, you don't know how to manage all these big projects. Those kind of things you didn't exactly have in a lot of the graduate programs I looked at. So but I did stumble upon the program in 2008, and this was like during the first year that they started, and I remember seeing all these really cool photos of the school, like the crazy wild floor that they had, and like the outside had all the crazy patterns. That kind of stood out to me. And then there was all these photos of like the Second Life that it had, the Second Life version, which was back then it was pretty advanced. It was cool to see all this stuff, and like there was even a lot of photos of the Olympic torch when it passed through.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think that was in 2010.
yeah.
Like even for a school to have like all this stuff on their website, and even to have a Flickr page was pretty advanced back then. So it seemed like it was really cutting edge. So I decided to apply and thought it would be a good fit for me. And yeah, so I just planned out and started planning for it and got my application in, because I knew I didn't want to write a research paper for my master's program. Yeah, so then like I had my Flash website already, and it had all these animations, and like when you click stuff and like things move, and like it was kind of cheesy how it was back then, but I had a site like that. And I remember after I submitted my application, I kept checking the IP addresses, and I'd see after a while I seen a few hits from BC, so I knew that someone who was looking. So I figured they at least looked at my portfolio. And yeah, then I got in, I made the move to Vancouver, and yeah, like the start of the program was super intense, and it was like really intense the first few weeks, and I was just like crazy overloaded with information, like some of you may be experiencing right now. Like
They're about to, John. They have the the design jam weekend, the game jam, or whatever that
Oh
kickoff project is happening. Larry's got a plan that they're about to get the
yeah,
assignment Friday and work through the weekend. I think that's the first like fully intense, even though they've kicked off the program this past week. But yeah.
yeah, take advantage of those, because they're really beneficial to kind of get an early start on the teams, and to get an early insight into what your team members may be like. So take advantage to those weekend things if you can spare the time. I know some students may also be like really busy with moving and getting the semester started.
Well, this one's mandatory, so they're doing it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is the
Oh, awesome.
yeah.
Yeah, so that it's very intense the first few weeks. And then it was like right off to the races with the projects. Like kind of the big thing around my time was everyone was focused on mobile phone apps, because like this is just a few years after the iPhone came out. So that was pretty big. Other people were pretty interested in doing first person shooter type games. So it was it's pretty wide range of stuff. Unity was starting to get really big around that time. But yeah, I think nowadays some of the students might be very interested in a lot of stuff like VR, or maybe like a lot of social media marketing, social media related campaigns. I imagine that's kind of the
Yeah, and actually, so we had our guest speaker last week, Alexandra. She's in runs marketing campaigns for Shopify, right? And what I like about this too is, and you represent it very well too, is that our MDM digital media skilled talent is, in all these different industries too. Like, I mean, I think, healthcare, I was going to ask you, like, you talked about your 3D background and, going through this like multimedia like program. Did you ever think you're going to work in healthcare, like coming through the program, or did that open your eyes to it? Like,
Yeah, I didn't expect to, but it's just the thing with the program. You could be in a different industry that you don't expect, or you may be in a career that you're not fully utilizing all of your undergrad skills. But the master's program kind of brings you a lot of like leadership and management skills. So those will come in very handy with whatever career you go in.
yeah. And I think I'm trying to remember, you were on that Michael Smith Foundation project that Richard brought in. That was a health related project, actually, if I remember
Yeah,
correctly. Yeah.
that was an early one that kind of brought me into the healthcare industry.
That's cool. No, I'm just, memory lane here. I'm just like, that's pretty cool. Anyway, I
Yeah.
didn't want to derail you there. I just wanted to jump in and say,
Oh, no
like,
worries.
yeah, it's a conversation here. So
All good conversation. And
yeah,
the healthcare industry is pretty stable, but you may jump around to a lot of different industries in your career. You may work in a few years in in the gaming industry. You might work a few years in marketing. All kinds of different areas you could jump around with this master's degree. Yeah, so like the start of the program was really intense, and the one thing I just want to share with everyone is just like kind of like don't overscope in the first semester. That first semester is a doozy. I remember it was just crazy busy, and it was different than undergrad, because like undergrad I had my share of like all-nighters and like crazy busy times, but the the MDM program was a little bit different, I found, because it's still, the workload is pretty high and you have a lot to do. But the thing that stood out to me was just how crazy planned out the term was. Like it felt like every single hour right to the end of the semester was planned and accounted for, and you plan out so far ahead that that's the thing that kind of stands out to me. Like, and you're working on teams on different projects, so you got to work with scheduling other people's skills and backgrounds. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Don't overscope, and just understand you're going to be very busy in the next term.
that hasn't really changed. Time boxing there, Dave's jumping in here. It's that's an ongoing challenge. And Larry's all about the scope there too. So he's trying to, but you're right.
Yeah.
This first term, they've referred to it for many years as the boot camp term, or and it's November gets crazy intensive with lots of due dates and projects, and yeah.
Yeah.
But you got to find that balance.
You're in for a busy semester, but you're going to learn a lot, and it's going to be really you'll remember it throughout your whole life. And the other thing is, you can kind of feel like you have to perform with like the most like cutting edge, mind-blowing digital media project, just because of the kind of nature of the school, and then just the people that you're surrounded with. You're going to be surrounded with a whole bunch of very highly skilled digital media people from a variety of backgrounds. Like you might be working with like mass or like undergraduate degrees with people from computer science backgrounds, or you might be working with people in a business background or technical artists, UI. You're gonna be working with a lot of different skills. So yeah, it can just feel like you have to make something really amazing. So just try not to overdo it, and try not to overscope, because you got to remember you're here to learn, and you only have a semester to do it. So don't overscope, and at the end of the term you may kind of look back and think, wow, we really overdid it, but in the end we made something pretty cool and we learned a lot on the way. And yeah, like even the documentation and progression of a project can be just as important as the project itself. Like you got to note everything you're doing. Yeah.
More important, I was gonna just, I thank you for saying that again, because I totally agree with you on that. That how it's documented, that's what's going to aid them in their future career pursuits, portfolios, resumes, things to reference. So, and also the process. The process is the, yeah, it's what that the process is the process. But yes.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, because you could look at the end of the term and just figure out like what we could have done better or what worked really good, what we have a good record of that worked well. And clients kind of like to see all that stuff in as well, because they like to see what's going on, because they might not fully grasp digital media and they might not fully understand it. But if they have documentation, then that'll go very far with industry. Um, yeah, the other kind of thing that I kind of wish I knew is just to keep in mind that like whatever projects or ideas you work on, the like the seed of a project idea might not solely be yours. Like it might not be your only idea. You may just contribute in different areas of a project. Like it, and like that's fine. Like you might not be the director or the producer that came up with a project idea, but you may be contributing in different ways. Like you could be working on documentation or working on programming or designing art for it. Like it might not be your sole idea, but you're contributing in big ways to your projects that you might not fully understand right now. And like every person on the team contributes in a different way. And like you can't really be like a lone wolf in these kind of projects and teams. Like if you go that way and you'll see that you don't get very far, because like say you have a really big idea for like a game or a project and you try to do it all by yourself, like it's not going to go very well. Like who's going to do the technical art, who's going to do the programming, who's going to do the UI? You obviously can't do it all by yourself. So, and who's going to do like the managing and the funding and the client management kind of things? So you're really going to have to work together and just work from all your different skill sets to work on the projects that you do in this term. um yeah, like your ideas are going to kind of come together in different ways. Like it could be small, it could be large, but the main thing is just to know that it's the cohesiveness of the team that will make your project successful. And yeah, the other thing is like if it's not your main idea, you could even pursue it in maybe the next term or the next semester's project, or even like after you graduate, you could pursue your ideas in like a startup, or if you go on to be a entrepreneur. So there's lots of different areas for your ideas, and it doesn't always have to be the main idea for
I
whatever
appreciate you
project you're
bringing that
working
up too,
on.
because on the team side of that too, because it is, you know, if you have an idea, and even if, you know, but you need to have the buy-in from the team to make it happen. You have to be able to communicate, be inclusive, and get the right team behind, you know, the as a shared idea. Because I think, I mean, that's again sort of the MDM way in that is that it's you think about projects, you're approaching it with a client's need, right? And then somebody on the team will generate an idea and others get behind it and contribute in all these different ways, which is great. And it's so not everyone has to be the, you know, the creative director who, you know, initiates the idea. It can definitely, you know, come from team efforts, brainstorming, mind map, just all the exercises and getting there. But at the end of the day, as a person, you want to be a person who can get a team behind any idea to, you know, to tackle it and put some best efforts into it. And, you know, so I appreciate you acknowledging all that and the different components, because that's one of the things that when I speak with a lot of the industry connections is that, you know, everyone in this program graduates with the same designation, MDM, right? You get, it's the Master of Digital Media. But you're right, you know, students come in with computer science backgrounds or business backgrounds and, you know, economics or, you know, various art majors. And it's, you're getting the same designation, but you're all capable producer like people just with your various, you know, skills that and know how to draw on the skills around you. But anyway, no, just wanted to give you a little breather, but also just tip of the cap, because that's you know, that's what we're looking to do. So thanks.
Yeah, no, that, yeah, those are all really great points, and they were just kind of the dynamics I wish I understood a bit more about going into the program. And like we got a lot of good direction and background from faculty on how to manage the projects, but that was just kind of new to me. um yeah, it was really new to me, um going into a project with a producer or like a manager kind of person. Like you're going to have a person that's going to be constantly checking in with where's the work, where's the status of this artwork, where's the status of this programming. Like that was completely new to me, and you just got to remember that that person's role is just to keep the project going along. And being an undergrad, I didn't really have anything like that. We had kind of like team, small little team projects, but they were all like the same, like new media type people. They didn't have like a producer backgrounds or manager type backgrounds. So that was completely new to me. And just try not to like take it personally from whoever the person is. Like if they're constantly checking in, it may seem kind of a like, oh, this is a drag. I have to keep reporting to this person, and I have to keep doing a daily scrum and a daily software check-in with where everything's at. So that could be new to you. It could be a new experience, but just remember that it's going to be um, it's just part of the project development, and just it's how these things work. There's going to be a manager checking in often with you. But yeah, um, yeah. So I think that's kind of the main thing that I want to kind of go over with kind of my experience and just kind of the things I wish I heard during my first term. And yeah,
Yeah,
the
we could
other
definitely
thing,
have like we're gonna have lots of time for some Q&A and everything
yeah,
too, because I want to reminisce sort of on the various projects that you participated in when you were a student. So because I think I'd mentioned the Michael Smith Foundation, but you were also on. We did an important project with Henry Yu. What was the Gold Mountain guest, right? Which was telling the actually that was one of our first Unity projects too, I believe. It was a
yeah,
gold
with the
mining,
UBC history department.
right?
And yeah, that was a really cool project. We worked on a Unity project to give a first person perspective of an ancient town or not ancient,
A
but
gold mining town, yeah, like,
gold
yeah.
mining town in BC. And you got
But
to have the first person experience of a person working on the railway.
but it was also a Chinese settlement story, right? Wasn't it? That was
Yeah,
the first. So there was something about the Chinese settlement in Canada and telling an important story again with digital tools, I guess, about through a game. It was a game of gamification when was the term back in the day or whatever. But that was an important project on using digital media for greater good, I guess.
yeah. Yeah,
What
it was a 3D project, and you kind of go around and you pick up these puzzle items, and you could kind of map together a story about the Chinese history in Canada. And yeah, it was a really great kind of engaging way of learning these histories, and something that's a little bit different than like a textbook or like a slideshow for students. This one's kind of an interactive thing that people can take part in.
Yeah, so I mean, it's interesting because it's like it's part game, part educational tool, part historical, documentation, but also in capturing some of those assets um, and again, like I think that sort of speaks to the potential for digital media professionals to use these tools for different purposes, and obviously there's a train, educate, inform around also some very important social issues in that too. Um, and yeah, so how are you using what you do now in what you're doing with the First Nations Health Authority? Why don't you tell us a bit about what the First Nations Health Authority is sort of in the greater health landscape and your role in within.
Yeah, I work on quite a few different things, but if you're not familiar with the health authority, I'll give a quick kind of rundown.
Mhm.
Um, so in BC, there's 5 different health authority regions. There's 5. One's like Vancouver Coastal, which is this region, and then there's Vancouver Island, called Island Health, and there's Fraser Health, Northern Health, and then Interior Health. So there's 5 of them, and whatever region you're in, you could be using their health facilities and health services through um, different means. But the one thing that's unique to BC is they've transferred the First Nations health system to First Nations ownership. So across BC, when Indigenous people say get dental or pharmacy coverage or stuff like that, they go through us, the First Nations Health Authority. So Indigenous people across BC will get services and programs funded through the FNHA, and it's a little bit different than most um, provinces. When Indigenous people use different health services, they'll go through Health Canada, but we transferred ownership back in 2013. And yeah, so it's a pretty interesting format. We're across BC. We serve 203 different nations, and we fund like a variety of health programs, and we provide services like health benefits and dental. And the area that I work in is in the communications department, and we'll be focused on a lot of health messaging, like news and coverage of different items, as well as a lot of health and marketing campaigns. So kind of marketing different projects, like it could be like cancer screening, or like diabetes screening, or just like cultural safety in the health industry to like influence the other health authorities. So yeah, all kinds of different health messaging is what we focus on in communications. And specifically, I work in the website and the social media part of our organization. So yeah, I work on web and social and all kinds of different stuff.
And actually, so I mean, again, when you brought up one of those initiatives around the sort of the cultural safety and other, like I think that a project that you were able to initiate even in that role, I don't know how you brought it up to the higher ups, or to say, hey, there's a group, the school that I work at, they do these projects, but that project you brought in a few years back was teaching cultural humility in healthcare settings. It was very timely. Again, like another non-proud Canadian healthcare moment, but there's been Indigenous peoples who've faced various forms of racism and stigma in the healthcare settings. And this campaign or portal that was being developed was to help teach cultural humility, right? Was that and you initiated that, which is, again, super cool that you came back. I'm looking at the full circle here. You were a student who found our program because you wanted to do some applied research and work on practical things. You did that through some projects. You found your way into a health related industry, or and still doing digital media things. But you came back to do this project with us, and I'm still hopeful that we do more and or see that go further. But it's are you able to do that because you have that digital media awareness, and you can, or even the confidence to put forward an idea internally to the higher ups? I always reflect on, do you get that confidence from a Patrick class because you know how to present, or like how were you able to kick off that project idea with
Well, I had the idea to work with the school for a while, and I just wanted to put it together and just get it kind of get buy-in from the organization. And kind of the main reason I want to work with the organization is because, or to work with the MDM, is because our organization will work with a lot of marketing companies, and they'll work on like a lot of different materials for us. And every time I look at some of the stuff that we get, I just think, wow, the MDM students, I know they could just put together something so much more engaging and so much more interesting and interactive, because you're so like cutting edge, and there's so many new cutting edge backgrounds and students and ideas coming out of the school. It just doesn't really exactly compare to what's currently out there. So yeah, that's why I always kind of wanted to work with the school, just because I know there's so many cool cutting edge ideas coming out. And yeah, you provided a link to the blog,
an article about it, because I was just, when I was doing a quick Google here, but I was like, yeah, it's it's also, I mean, a point of pride for me too, like when alumni come back as clients, right, to kind of be the one that helps initiate a project. And because I find when that scenario happens, you bring in a familiarity, how to work with the teams, and kind of give them maybe some of the things you wish you had when you were experienced those projects. Because like every new product or program, we had our own learning curve, and we continue to iterate and try to improve. And so I apologize for any of the early students that had to go through that learning curve with us. But I think that's the nature of what the program is too. We want to continue to improve, iterate, and but yeah, and for me, I really love when alumni specifically reach out with a potential project, but also just that interest in being involved, and especially projects that make the world a better place. Like that's sort of it's been an MDM mantra in many ways, like make the world a better place, the MDM way, or the process is the way. I like Teresa, how she leaned into my Mandalorian fandom there. This is the way. But no, anyway, I just want to say thanks. That was such a cool project, and I find that, not everyone's comfortable to try to initiate a project like that. That if they, oh, I'm not the CEO, I'm not the, but you were able to get this approved and run, and it was an impressive looking project too. I remember looking at the, and
Yeah,
I know it's
it was amazing what they put together.
mhm. Well, and you helped pull that together, so it was like, it's appreciated all around. But
Yeah, that's the one good thing about the industry terms is like you're working with an actual company and you're working with some of their goals and their desires. And the reason I want to work with the CDM is because like I went through the program, I know what it's like, and so I really wanted to do a project that was really like open format and basically kind of give the students kind of free reign to do whatever they think is best, because we would just kind of go to the students with a problem and just say, this is our problem and this is how we're hoping to solve this, and we want to use digital media in some way of solving it. So have free reign and go do whatever you think is best, and come back at the end of the term with something really cool. So yeah, we want to be as open as possible and free. So
well,
yeah, because I know
and
what
that
it's
is
like.
the best approach, because you get the best out of people when you're more open to that idea. And again, not to slight another project, but one of our other alumni that everyone on this call is familiar with, Ryan Klask. Ryan Klask, he worked with the Men's Health Initiative in BC, and they came to us to do a campaign to improve men's health. I guess that's their mandate, but they were looking at 18 to 30-year-old males make bad decisions when it comes to how many burgers we eat in a sitting, or if you're hurt, you don't go and see a doctor, or you drink too much because that's manly, right? So they wanted to challenge that, and they wanted to have a game produced. They came in and said, make a game. We have these game developers, but the students, in looking at the end user, the people that were actually going to receive the message, realized that the game wasn't going to meet the client's need or the end user's need. So they came up with a campaign, which was called Man Up Canada, and they used short form comedic sort of clips where they made fun of sort of that manly nature, and those short clips made it into a website. And the Vancouver Canucks actually played some of those clips during a playoff run back in the day, and Ryan Klask ended up working with that organization for many years after, and he's joined us as a recruiter. He's come back into the fold, into the MDM fold. But what I liked about what you were saying is that, when those open nature projects, or you have a problem and you're looking for the best solution, those are the best ways to get the best ideas. That team had to work hard to get the client to, because it was, I think everyone thought, oh, it's, master of digital media. These are game developers, make us a game. Men like to play games. This will help them make a change. It's not always the case, right? The best solution, you need to be open to it. And, as a communications person yourself in marketing, I mean, you did that in bringing this project to us, and hopefully future ones. So anyway.
Yeah, that's always good to keep in mind, especially for your next term when you're working with industry people. Just keep that in mind. They may come to you with a thought out idea, like we want a new website, or we want a game, but just always try to focus on what the problem is that they're trying to solve. And
I think they do the 5 whys or other, there's a lot of exercises, and it's always a negotiating thing, because it's you do have the desires of the client, you want to have it, make it a shared experience. So it's not just it's a collaborative process. That's what we try to build, is that even with projects, we don't really try to treat clients as clients, they're project partners, right? So through going through the discovery together and figuring out what what kind of solution makes sense. It's a team effort, but I think it makes you confident and competent individuals, because you can bring forward ideas where in traditional paths out of an undergraduate program, you might be heads down for a few years before you start getting comfortable challenging ideas or the authority, right? So
yeah. Definitely, you have a lot cut out for you in the next couple years. Yeah, so I think those are kind of the main things I wanted to go over, and some of my history and background. Do you think that's a pretty good amount, or should we all kind of?
Yeah, no, it is. I mean, I'm going to go with a free flow conversation. So if anybody on the call, if you have a question, you can post it in chat. You can put up a hand and ask it. You can, it's John is he doesn't bite. He's a super nice guy. He's also a DJ, or I think you're still doing that, CITR radio, and he's a recent motorcycle enthusiast. Hopefully, stay safe, John. But he's been there, done that. He's experienced it not only as an MDM student, but as an MDM client, and seems to be doing well on the career track that you're on. But I mean, I was going to ask you a leading question there too. Like, you've been there for this long. Do you see? Are you looking at doing something not different down the line? Are you going to see if you can grow within the organization? You happy doing what you're doing, or like what's next for you, or are you happy where you're at? This is it's kind of a, when I think about careers and where people go, it's how are you feeling? What do you want to do next with your MDM degree, or do you want to just enjoy riding your bike and
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, because I'm a little bit unique in some ways, because when I look at the people that I went to the program with, because I've stayed in one place. Sorry, I think I'm okay now. Yeah, I've stayed in one career for like since 2013, like over almost 8 years now. So yeah, I mean, really no plans to go anywhere else. I'm the main thing is because I really like the organization. I think we're doing a lot of really great work for Indigenous people. But some of you may have the same experience. You may just find solid long-term employment, or you might jump around. Like, you may every few years find a different career, because that's kind of how it is for the people that went through my years.
Oh, it is such a common story now. I mean, you're the exception to the rule. I am too. I've been here, it's at the MDM since it started, which I never thought was going to happen. But it's like, if you do something you love, it's like, it's hard to,
yeah.
that
Why? I mean, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, there's like lots of opportunity out there, and like, it just like, I might find something that where I'm like a little bit different, or some things are slightly different, but I just don't really have that in mind right now.
That's fair. No, it's I've seen a few roles where I was like, this could be John. So it's like, the talent scout in me kind of goes, there's other things, but I'm like, I'm also appreciative of people that are, found what they love to do, and have the creative freedoms or outlets to feel that you're making a positive impact. You obviously have that, and because we continue to have conversations about what else can be done project wise or otherwise, talent connections for the FNHA. And I saw there were some job postings there the other day too, and I was like, that's cool as an organization and as a model for Canada. You've touched on it, like this is a unique health authority in that the power is returning to the community. That's impressive. I think it's really cool, and being a digital professional that's helping to have that impact internally, that's amazing. So but I will keep my eyes out for you anyway. So it's like, you might get me, but there's that. Anyone have a question?
Oh,
question from Dave. Dave's loud.
That's a really good question. I didn't know from the start what I wanted to do. I kind of thought about going into the like visual effects and motion graphics kind of industry. I did that a little bit, but no, not really. I didn't have a main goal at the start of the program. It was just completely open, just see what's available when I graduate. That was the plan. So it's a really good question.
I have one question.
Go for it. You're on mic. We'll go with a mic question, and we have a text, but go for it.
Okay. Hi, John. This is Simran. So since you moved from the game industry to the health industry, so what are the specific things that you needed to unlearn, or probably you took from the game industry to the health industry, that can actually help in moving your career forward?
I think for me, the kind of things I had to unlearn was just being not being too technical in the way I speak, because you're working with like healthcare industry people, and they might not even fully understand like even the most like basic technical jargon, because like you're working with like technical artists and kind of animators and stuff, and you could speak with them really easily and casually. But then when you go into the healthcare industry, they might not even know what like a 3D program, or they might not know what like kind of motion graphics and stuff like that. Like they just might not know hardly any of that. So you got to really kind of change the way you speak with your technical jargon. This is why I like connecting with the MDM community, because I like going to the alumni events, because we all speak the same language. We all understand technology like the back of our hand. So it's a little bit different when you're outside of the industry. So yeah. I think, oh, there's one from Thelma Weiger. Is that how you say it? What plans for bringing? Do you have plans for bringing new challenges from your institution to MDM current and future cohorts? Yeah, Dennis touched on this before. We're hoping to do industry projects in the future. The main thing is, well, we don't have like a specific area that we need to focus on. We bring in all kinds of different campaigns that we want to focus on. Like, and if we bring up any future ones, it could be something related to, we want Indigenous people to focus on like cancer screening, or just understand like the times that you need to go for screening, or maybe focusing on healthy eating, or perhaps, I don't know, recruiting nurses to work in remote communities. Like these are the kind of like vague things that we need to solve, but we would want to use digital media to solve. So it could be a variety of those things if we do a future project, but the main thing is we'd want to keep it open.
Yeah, and that's awesome. And again, I didn't want to let cats out of the bag, but I have conversations with lots of people about projects, and we had this one a few years back, and John and I have been chatting, and it was an inspiring one in the past, and hopefully we do things in the future. And again, like there's so many different challenges that can be tackled, right? Even like we were talking, John, about like getting more Indigenous students interested in the MDM program. So I was already thinking like, some of the steps we've already taken, and like you did an interview on our site, or just, I think people need to be aware of the opportunities, right? So there's, at some point, maybe we do a campaign reaching out to youth on career paths into healthcare, but as nurses, and use digital media tools, but then they, figure out, hey, I can pursue a master in healthcare. Like, we're gonna have future programs one day, who knows? So
yeah, definitely.
Well, and it's interesting too, because you're the program's been around since 2007, and even in that first year, we did a project called World of Healthcraft, which was actually taking healthcare professionals into the World of Warcraft environment to learn about team building and communication. They were not gamers. These healthcare people that played the campaign as the World of Healthcraft group. The goal was actually more about educating on communication tools and that bonding like experience. But it's interesting how the tools and objectives can be used in all these different ways. And I mean, we're going to see how this goes. Teresa's saying, I think that answered questions. Thanks, John.
Oh, yeah.
And then Dave's jumping in here too. Internships are still a way for the cohort. What advice would you give them with respect to when to start creating resume, portfolio, importance of connections, learning specific tech processes? Anyway, I'm done. That's a long day.
Yeah, I guess you have internships in about a year now.
Yeah, this time next year, September, they'll be setting out into the wild, and unless they're entrepreneurial, they've been doing a venture internship, still an internship, but forming a business around their idea. So
I guess maybe kind of try to think of a few different areas that you may want to work in. It can be challenging if you just focus on only one area. Like I applied to a whole bunch of different organizations, and it was tough because I couldn't find exactly what I was looking for. So I applied for a lot of different things. Like I applied for motion graphics, I applied for video animation, I applied for like a website and social media projects. So I didn't focus on one single area. And you may want to keep that in mind with your internship semester, because if you focus too much on one specific industry, like there's a chance that you might not get it, or you might kind of disappoint yourself because you were so focused on one type of industry. So yeah, I'd say diversify your applications. And yeah, as far as connections, I mean, going to all the industry events that the school has is a really beneficial thing for your internship program. Um, yeah, just take advantage of those kind of things, because these organizations, they probably get like tons of emails and tons of applications, and they may not stand out at all. But if you made that connection at an industry event, that may kind of get your foot in the door for the internship in semester.
Thanks, John. There's from Dave. I'll audibly present his text in audible format. Thanks, John. Yeah, and it's you know, Dave has the best questions. Yes, he does. Others questions for John? How so? You know, they're two weeks in. They're not at the high stress point. I think they're getting to know the skills around them. How important is the relationships that they're going to build with the people around them? Because they're not just going to be on the one team with that one group. They're going to probably have different teams with different people. And how do you suggest they get to know each other even more beyond you know, in this era of Zoom windows and
Well, you have a lot of current you have a lot of different advantages that I didn't have in the program. Like for one, you have the new building that has the residences, so that's an opportunity to connect with people. The other thing that you have that I didn't have is all the food options around campus. It was like a food desert when I went there, because the only nearby options were walking all the way to Main Street, and like, so everyone had to bring their own food, and so there was very little time to kind of connect with people over lunch. And yeah, so you have a lot more options, so I'd say take advantage of those. And yeah, it's a whole different experience than when I went through the program.
actually, and it's true. Two birds, one stone. You need to eat, and you can have a meeting. So it's like, whether that's, you know, with a classmate, or I mean, Jason he often walks off on lunch, and I see him with different students at different times. It's a great way to. There was a book that was referred to me many years ago called "Never Eat Alone." It's not to say, you know, for those introverts like myself, I like to eat alone, but it's still the idea behind it. You know, spending some time getting to know. You know, you can get a lot. You know, get to know somebody pretty well over a cup of coffee, even, or, you know, the hallway conversations. And you know, in the online world too, it's you know, you're gonna have a lot of meetings, but to John's sort of promotion of this forum, it's not, you know, this isn't part of your class. This is just a chance to kind of learn from others that have been there, those that are industry, a chance to chat a little bit. So I appreciate, you know, everyone that's coming out to these talks as well, because it's just a chance to, you know, go beyond the classroom. So you're going to have your coursework, and to John's point about not overscoping, I brought this point up before. It's like your project, you're working towards a grade, and that's great, and you're going to want to make something super cool, but you can communicate a really cool idea in a much smaller format than you often feel that you're trying to build. Like, you don't have to build, you know, a 3-level game to get the idea of what the game is about, what the fun factor is. You can get that done in sort of a tutorial level, right? So that overscoping hurts you more than it helps you, because what you really need is the documentation, the portfolio. It shows we set out to make this, we came up with these solutions, this was our, you know, where we built in the fun, we learned something about this. That is a much better story than this 3-level game that no recruiter is ever going to play through that anyway. They're going to look at some stills, they're going to look at what you contributed to it. So less is more, and that's what goes with it for your portfolio too. They don't want to see everything you've ever created since, you know, your undergrad program, or even everything you've created in the MDM program. They only want to see what you know, you think fits an industry standard. So it's your quality work. And then that's one other point I wanted to bring up about portfolios and about design jams and weekend things. You can include some of those elements into your portfolios. I've seen some really strong work that students have brought in the past to say, I participated in this thing, we came up with a unique idea for this solution, and you know, this is, again, it was something that was worked on for 48 hours. It doesn't have to be something that was a, you know, full-term piece. It's your best work and your contributions to that work. Anyway, I'm done.
Yeah, like a vertical slice of,
Yeah.
a project is a good way to put it.
And now we're talking about pizza, so I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Vertical.
Oh, I see a question. Yugo Chuku. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that.
Ugo. He's
Ugo.
actually,
Okay.
are you still in, is it Africa right now? I feel really, I think time zone wise, it must be super late for you. So,
Oh man.
Yeah, but I'm used to it now.
okay. Here, I'm giving you public thanks for doing this because it's, well done.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Challenging with time zones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as a fresh undergrad going to the program, what are the soft skills you learned during the program that help you stand out, and what are the skills you wish you gave more attention? As far as the soft skills, the one thing that really stands out, and you'll learn a whole bunch, is public speaking. I was just blown away at how much public speaking we had to do. It seemed like pretty much every day you had to speak at least, I don't know, like 5-10 minutes in front of the whole class. So you're gonna get hit with a lot of public speaking in the next couple of years. So just get used to it and just understand you'll get way better at it. Like at the start, you may stumble quite a bit, and especially if you're ESL, you may have some issues, but you'll get used to it, and the courses and the students around you will help you become a really good public speaker, and you'll have a really good way of like just kind of improvising. Like if you suddenly get put on the spot, you'll be able to improvise pretty well, and you won't be like, I don't know, stumbling and saying and looking confused. You'll have a really good way of just.
Patrick has a way
really
of
good
doing
info
that you brought up.
Yeah.
Improvise, and I go to improv, and Patrick definitely is a great instructor for getting comfortable presenting. That's not to say that everyone needs to become an extrovert, speaking at conferences in front of thousands of people. I know that's a nightmare for many of us, but realizing you have value in what you present and how you present your ideas, it's important. And it is, we've had so many MDM alumni speak about the transformative experience that they have, and many of them have like great fears of public speaking, like to the point of just being super nervous, or wanting to get sick before presenting. And it's like you will overcome a lot of those concerns, but it's not necessarily something you ever have to be fully comfortable with. Because, like, full disclosure, I'm never super comfortable like on presenting any time. I'll do it, but it's
yeah, you'll get better at it. You'll get better at it over the next couple semesters, and by the end you'll be a really great public speaker, and it'll stand out in whatever job interview you do, or whatever industry connection you do, or whatever thing you present at. Yeah, I think that's the main thing for soft skills, I should say. What are the skills that you wish you gave more attention? I mean, it's always just public speaking. I think I would like to give more attention to. But yeah.
So with that, I mean, presenting is a huge part of it, and getting those ideas across and all that. And then did you pick up any technical skills along the way? Did you learn from any of those around you as far as a new tool for your toolkit? Were you self-directed in that? Did you have workshops or?
Yeah, some of the things that I really picked up a lot of skills in were 3D programs and After Effects. I got really good at that. Like I had some basic knowledge of those skills, but there was just a few classmates that really helped me learn a whole bunch in those programs, and just through like small little tutorials that they would give me, or just kind of watching how they worked, it really helped me learn a whole bunch of technical skills. And the thing is, like, you're not going to learn like a specific technical skill, but you could learn it from one of your classmates. You could pick up a programming language, or you could learn how to do user interface design. There's all kinds of different things you could learn in these projects that you may not have had in your undergrad.
Yeah, it's true. And again, this is true of every cohort, but you have like 50 instructors around you. I mean, you each have some skill, some other way of, whether that's a tool on the digital end, or if it's a soft skill in communicating and time management, or your approach to even social acumens, like just networking. It's like there's a lot of things that you'll be able to share with each other, and it's part of this learning experience. and the instructors and the staff, and like everyone's here to kind of support you along that way. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Actually, I kind of had one question. Was so the students have a lot of elective options, right?
They will. It's kind of the elective offerings change. They're also, because we're part of the Western Deans, they can take courses at the partner institutions too. But the MDM offers some core electives every spring term and summer term. So half of them will do George Johnson's course, Visual Story, I think in January, and the other half will do that Visual Story in the summer.
Okay.
Actually, you had George. Didn't we do an NFB project at one point too? There was. I remember you had you pitched, or there was something with George was supervising, and there was NFB pitches or something.
Yeah, we worked on some ideas on how to pitch to different industry professionals. Yeah, George Johnson had a lot of experience with the NFB, so we kind of based it on like what would be like to apply to the NFB.
Yeah.
Interesting. So do many students still take the off-campus options?
Some of them do. I mean, I think a lot of them do take the on-campus because student housing's on the right above. It's close to the projects, and the offerings are always trying to reflect the desired needs of the cohort. But there's always outliers, like people that are like looking for something very specific. Building on a particular pipeline tool. Something that's maybe not something that's core to the MDM. So. Yeah. But yeah, and we've had alumni too. Like I'm just looking at this Toastmasters mention. We actually have alumni members who are members of Toastmasters and can continue to wave that flag. So this also speaks to all the external learning and professional development opportunities. So I always encourage, participate in the various conferences, events, design jams, or otherwise that are external to the program. It can offer, something else to add to your resume. You do need to balance out, obviously, your MDM program needs and getting all your coursework done, but finding that balance, because you can build your network and learn so much more inside these walls. Yes, tons from your faculty and from the students around you, but there's so much more in industry and the connections and things that you can take on. So
yeah, I think I would probably recommend utilizing the on-campus courses. I found those to be the most interesting. I did take a social media course with Chuck Hamilton.
Chuck Hamilton, yeah.
Faculty, and he also worked at IBM.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of helped my trajectory in my career. But the one thing I kind of found with the off-campus courses was it was a very long commute to the other campuses. And there was some teammates that in the middle of a project day, they'd have to go an hour to Surrey or like an hour to UBC. And then, so that takes like almost 3 hours out of your day.
Yeah.
Because you got to go each way, and then the course is like an hour or two. So I've always kind of found the on-campus offerings where they're more interesting and more convenient for the projects.
Yeah, no, and it's Teresa works with the faculty on creating a great slate of offerings every year. There's some somewhat stable ones, or staples, I should say, and then there's others that get introduced because trends change. And you nailed it when you were speaking earlier that those first projects we started tackling were much in the mobile space, right? Because the iPhone was just released, and the tools will always change. So being adaptable. We had students like want to learn more about Unreal, right? So and it's like we're not necessarily an Unreal. We're agnostic. We use Unity. We use Unreal. We use the best tool to meet a job. So and Teresa's already saying we've had some great electives lined up for the spring term. So without fully putting them on display yet, because they're still TBD, I guess, but she you will have some great electives. I know it's nice. Hey, if I don't know, I can't say, so I can honestly say I don't know what they are. I just know they'll be cool. So all right, any last question for John? I know we're pushing on our and some of you may have class with Jason right at 7, so
I had a question.
Oh, here's one question. Go for it. This is I'm done.
Hey John, I just had a quick question. Like from the industry side, whenever you come across like students or fresh graduates, is there like a common deficiency that you see in them as they're fresh graduates, or something that you think that they should focus on during their college days, so that when they come into the industry, the gap between the industry and this, like the student basically, isn't like big or large?
That's kind of a tough one. I think maybe like I don't see it too many of the applications for any of our jobs, but because I'm not really like a manager or hirer, but I think probably one thing that some students may do is they may kind of focus too much on a specific software or specific type of software. Maybe they like their maybe when in their application they focus too much on like I work on WordPress sites or I work on Drupal sites, and they don't know that it's good just to be a general just write kind of general information in the area of web work, because whatever industry you go to, they might use a totally different platform. And if they see that your application is totally specific to a certain platform, they may kind of overlook your application. So I don't know. That could be one thing I may see.
And you're right. I mean, it's again, this speaks to that generic nature of being a problem solver, somebody who can create the best solutions for the problem at hand. And you know, because some studios have proprietary tech, like so it's like being able to show some of the work you've done, but being somebody who says you know you can learn and pick things up quickly and you're adaptable, like those are the important traits. So for those of you that have Jason's class, you can drop off right now. For those of you that don't and you're still here, appreciate it. I went a little longer than I thought we would, but John, I'm sending you another super public thanks. Thank you a ton.
Sure.
Appreciate this conversation. Still early days for many of the students here, and an exciting term ahead. And yeah, we're going to keep having conversations on ways that we can connect and collaborate. So I owe you another one, I should say. But you know, thank you so much for tonight and everything you've done over the years with us.
Good luck with all your semesters.
All right, everyone.
But yeah,
enjoy your evenings. John, thank you.
Thanks, John. Thanks.
Hopefully we can meet in person in the future.
It's gonna happen one day. We're gonna
normal.
get there. All right, all.
Okay. Have a good evening, everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.